Let me tell you about a little boy named Denver. Unlike your average 4-year-old in the world, he wasn't a very selfish child. Actually, he understood emotions very well. He was the type of kid who was sure to make those around him feel special and loved, kid or adult. Unfortunately, his life was cut short. When he died, 3 bystanders were there, and none knew what to do. Unfortunately, this is not an uncommon scene. According to the American Heart Association, 90% of deaths from a foreign object occur in children younger than 5 years old, 65% of them infants. As in this situation, when that patient goes unconscious, at that time they're losing that precious blood and air supply to the brain and they become unconscious. The next best thing to do would be CPR. But according to the American Heart Association, effective bystander CPR provided immediately after sudden cardiac arrest can provide or triple a victim's chance of survival, but only 32% of cardiac arrest victims get CPR from a bystander. So let's paint a bigger picture here, because a lot of you think, well, 32%, that's still quite a bit of people who get CPR from a bystander. According to the same association, nearly 383,000 cardiac arrests occur annually, and 88% of them occur at home. And about 70% of Americans feel helpless to act during that cardiac emergency. So today I'm going to talk about why everyone should know CPR and the Heimlich maneuver, and how it's up to each and every single one of us, those who know and those who don't know, to help advocate of learning CPR and the Heimlich maneuver. According to the Ohio Academy of Science, over 30,000 lives over the years. According to the Ohio Academy of Science, the Heimlich maneuver has saved over 30,000 lives over the years in the United States alone. Even though that doesn't sound a lot to you today, let me paint this for you. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, choking on food caused by... Let me put these down for a second. 1 child every 5 days will die choking on food. The Heimlich maneuver saves people's lives. CPR saves people's lives. The impact we can make if everyone knew the Heimlich maneuver, I can't even talk about how much lives can be changed by that. A lot of people, when they think about the Heimlich maneuver and they think about CPR, they think about a complex system. But the Heimlich maneuver is not complex at all. If I can get a volunteer up here and another volunteer up here, I'll demonstrate. If you look at the Heimlich maneuver, if our person here was choking, and the natural reaction would actually be to take your hands to your throat, all right? We would have a rescue here simply take their fist, placing their thumb on the inside against the abdominal navel, right up underneath the sternum and above the belly button, and make quick and firm upward thrust. All right? If done effectively, this should force out the food. If this was a single person, thank you, appreciate it, and she found herself in the same situation, she would go up to a chair and do the Heimlich maneuver to herself by putting her fist above her abdomen and thrusting herself up. As you see, this is not a complex procedure at all. Let's say if this is ineffective, or you find yourself running across a patient that's unconscious, like I said it before, the next best thing you should do is call 911 and initiate CPR. According to the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation, out of 359,400 people who experience sudden cardiac arrest, 9 out of 10 die. According to the same foundation, only 11% survive, but 38% more could be saved. For those people doing the numbers out there, that's 136,572 people that could be alive today if some bystander was there to initiate CPR. Like the Heimlich maneuver, the CPR isn't a complicated procedure. Upon arriving on the scene, a person calls 911 and initiates CPR. This could be done by doing chest compressions, 2-inch depths at 100 pumps a minute. That's 30 compressions and 2 breaths. And you could do it to the beat staying alive. Studies have proven that CPR can even be learned as early as age of 14. According to the American Heart Association, 92,000 people have been saved by CPR in the USA each year. I don't want to just leave you with the idea that it's all doom and gloom. Right now in our nation, we are trying to make policies for everyone to know. According to legislation, this last year, since February 2013, 46 states have voted to teach CPR in high school. So hopefully we can get to that goal where everybody would know CPR. But as professionals and as caring family members, I recommend that each and every single one of you talk to your loved ones, talk to your grandparents, talk to your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, your neighbors about whether they know the Heimlich maneuver and they know CPR. With 80% of this happening at home, it would be silly of us not to ask that question. It'd be silly of us not to ask that babysitter who's coming to watch your child, hey, are you aware of CPR? Are you aware to do if you run across this kind of emergency? The reason this is so close to me is that little boy at the beginning of the story. That wasn't a story I pulled from the internet. That little boy was my brother. There's 3 bystanders that day. When many people think about bystanders, they think about strangers. But bystanders, according to the Webster Dictionary, is just people who didn't take action with whatever incident. There was 3 bystanders that day. There was my grandmother, my mother, and my sister. And not one of us knew how to do the Heimlich maneuver, and not one of us knew how to do CPR. He reached that critical stage of 6 minutes of no oxygen to his brain. And the brain damage at that point was impossible to avoid. He would die in a coma 3 days later. This is why I urge you, if you don't know CPR, if you don't know Heimlich maneuver, if you don't know these things, to go and look on the American Heart Association, go to your local hospital, go to your local fire station, go ahead and go to the American Red Cross and get information on how you can learn to save another person's life, because I don't want not one person in this room to find himself in that situation where you really need it, that you freeze up and you completely forget it, or you don't know it at all. Thank you.